Coming up in the Bahamas tonight, millions more in infrastructural upgrade for the island of Andros.
Hear from health officials on what measures are being taken to prevent the spread of the scabies disease.
And a heated debate on the labor bill before Parliament. The Bahamas tonight. The National Report starts now.
In HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
The economy of Andros is being positioned for continued economic development. Good evening, everyone. I'm Charisma Robinson.
And I'm Clint Watson. The government is pumping millions more into the island of Andros as a contract worth in excess of $7 million was signed for continued infrastructural upgrade.
Yes, our caller Palmer tells us that this project, along with the multi-million-dollar investment in the Bahamas Agricultural Marine Science Institute, is a boost for that community.
9.7 miles of new road from the San Andres Airport to the major crossing south of the Bahamas Agricultural Marine and Science Institute is the latest infrastructural upgrade Androsians can look forward to. Minister of Public Works and Urban Development Philip Davis signed that $7,106,000 contract this Thursday to make it happen.
Good roads facilitate commerce. They also create and attract jobs, and tell all who traverse them that the community is open for business. Roads allow for the transfer of goods and services well beyond their place of origin. With the opening of BAMSI in September last year, it became critical that the main road between BAMSI and the San Andres Airport be reconstructed and paved with hot mix asphalt.
Bethel's Trucking and Heavy Equipment was awarded the contract. Stanley Bethel represents the business.
We would like to thank the government of the Bahamas for awarding us the contract to refurbish the degraded section of Queens Highway in San Andres. We will refurbish the road with great professionalism and strict adherence to the Bahamas Highway Building Code. We're very confident that upon completion of this contract, the people of Andros will benefit greatly and will enjoy driving on the Queens Highway in San Andres.
Member of Parliament for North Andros, Dr. Perry Gomez, along with Minister of State in the Ministry of Works, Arnold Forbes, expressed optimism in the continued growth of that island's economy as a result of the new main road.
I guess for North Andros, this is the day the Lord has made. Let us be glad and rejoice in it. Truly, the people of North Andros and to some extent in Central Andros have really suffered for a long time because of the severely bad roads that existed there for a number of years. And to bring relief to this suffering, I think is a major step forward, not only for North Andros but for the country.
I was responsible for the BAMSI project at its inception, so it pleases me to see that we are now at a point where the North Andros community and the BAMSI Institute are now getting proper roads.
The roadworks in Andros is expected to take some 6 months to complete and employ as much as 50 persons. Carla Palmer, ZNS Network News.
Well, thanks so much, caller. That contract signing is reportedly just the beginning of phased roadworks for North and Central Andros. Deputy Prime Minister Davis says an additional 70 miles of roadworks is still to be contracted out.
We intend to move swiftly as soon as the funds are identified and made available to effect the other roadworks that's critically necessary in North Andros, particularly in the settlements of North Andros. And those roadworks will also include, in the settlements of North Andros, Mastic Point, Nicholson in particular, some water main works to ensure that we correct some of the issues related to the challenge that residents are having with potable water in those particular settlements.
On to another big story now. A busy week for health officials as they are still left battling the contagious scabies disease. Since reports surfaced of 2 confirmed cases and several other students exposed to the disease in public schools, officials are now giving an update on their efforts to contain the spread of the disease and what you can do to avoid becoming infected. LaDon Davis reports.
So far, health officials have confirmed that there are 27 suspected cases of the scabies infection after screening hundreds of public school students here in the capital. Now they're working to prevent the spread of the skin disease.
I think it's about 741 students, and out of that number, there were about 7 cases that were students that had some sort of skin lesion. Out of those 7, only 1 case was highly suspicious of a scabies skin infection. Today, we are presently at T.A. Thompson Primary School, and we have about 800 students that we will screen by the end of the day, and then we will move to Oaksfield Primary.
But Community Health Services Administrator Charlene Bain says Bahamians shouldn't be alarmed as nearly 200 cases of scabies are identified in the Bahamas each year. Here's how you can identify the infection.
Scabies is a parasitic skin infection caused by a mite that penetrates the skin, and it deposits its eggs under the skin. The lesions are prominent around the fingers, the web of the finger. It is prominent around the wrist.
The Community Health Administrator also gave these preventative health measures you should take into account to prevent the disease.
1, it is the cleansing of the skin. Secondly, it's the washing of the clothing. The clothing in hot water. They can be dried in commercial dryer or just hang out in the sunlight. In terms of the bed linen, they're to be washed in hot water and dried or hang out in the sunlight. And the mattresses can go outside in the sunlight, because once it's exposed to sunlight and heat, the parasite dies.
But as far as treatment is concerned, Bain says health officials are fully equipped to deal with the infections. Meantime, they're awaiting shipment of an additional treatment come Friday.
Cream that is used to treat the mite, and it's applied on at night for about 2 weeks, and we follow the student or the individual up to make sure it's resolved.
Health officials are on the lookout for new cases and have partnered with key agencies to ensure that treatment is available. Meanwhile, they're also liaising with social services to conduct home visits of scabies-infected persons and their families. LaDon Davis, ZNS Network News.
The tripartite bill now before Parliament has sparked debate on issues ranging from value-added tax to employment levels and questions over adherence to labor laws. Last evening, parliamentarians urged more concern and action on the issues which continue to arise, lending to a tense labor environment. Keisha Adderley reports.
From labor unions to the government, the criticism was meted out last evening as parliamentarians debated the tripartite bill, which seeks to foster harmony between employers, employees, and the government. BEC Chairman Leslie Miller launched an assault on labor leaders, calling them greedy, as he referenced familiar standoffs at government corporations. This as Marcos City MP Greg Moss called unions out for their silence on other topical issues.
Every year the government is pouring money and money. BEC is no different. And you're the highest paid in the country. Where do you think that the people are going to get the amount of money from when their sisters and brothers are suffering like hell and you want more? Where's it coming from? It's coming from those same poor people who has to pay what and pay these other taxes for you to get what you want. And if you don't cater to your demand, you go on strike.
Where's the trade union voice, for instance, Mr. Speaker, on VAT? VAT is a tax on the middle class and the working class and the poor, and we're beginning to see the effect of that. Where's the trade union voice on that? And is it not that trade unionism has been compromised because the political interests of the leaders have been elevated above the interests of their members throughout all successive governments?
Former unionist Cleola Hamilton addressed employers at Melia. She chided the resort over the gratuity debacle, which remains unresolved.
This is wrong on all levels, and someone needs to put stop to this unreasonable and unjust labor practice by Melia's management. We have laws in this country. They were made to be followed, and if they are not, there must be consequences and penalties, Mr. Speaker.
St. Anne's MP Hubert Chipman, though supporting the bill, used the debate to call on the government to deliver on jobs and call for a frank look at some other pending concerns.
A middle class and a working class desperately worried about the future, including mortgages, health care costs, the education of their children, and saving for retirement. We must speak frankly, Mr. Speaker, about business worried about everything from wage bill to energy costs, levels of taxation, the need for better trained and productive employment, and often high levels of theft.
Debate on the tripartite bill resumes on Monday. Keishla Adderley, ZNS Network News.
Thanks a lot, Keisha. We're also coming out of Parliament. Prime Minister Perry Christie addressed the unemployment figures related to the nation's youth, noting that it is a problem that many countries are facing globally. Recent figures released by the Department of Statistics noted that the unemployment rate for youth, that's those 15 to 24 years old, is at 31% and continues to be considerably higher than any other age group. The Prime Minister said that when youth, especially those that are not educated, cannot achieve success, they resort to a life of crime.
When we look at the statistics and see youth unemployment at a level that is unacceptable to every country, we have to understand the implications of it. And that when young people reach a stage of hopelessness, where they look at the shining city on the hill and to see those of us who live in that shining city up there, and they want to live there, and they can't. They've been institutionalized out of it. Lack of training, lack of education, whatever it is. But they see that shining city, and they see us living in it. They want to get there. They can't. So they resort to illegitimate, irregular, intercriminal activity. And such are the challenges we face in our society.
Well, during his contribution in the communication yesterday, Mr. Christie called on church leaders to take a proactive role in working with other stakeholders and do their part in helping to tackle crime.
You must remember that the church, in its outreach, also must accept the obligation to understand these challenges of which I speak, and the need to find that kind of medium, that formula, that whatever it is, a prescription that is biblically driven. I don't know all the answers, but I do know that the state has to continue to commit resources to deal with this issue.
Attorneys challenging changes to the Juries Act.
And in sports, the LPGA's Pure Steel Classic is underway. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight.
This segment of the news is brought to you by Shell Quality Fuels.